referee. The referee says, I'll take one, you take the other, but neither one held on, so they let him go.
Let's get the obvious out of the way.
Oh, and Basil using the right now. Him 3 dandies.
The North Stars and the Blackhawks did not like each other.
Well, the one thing is that the North Stars said they needed something to get them going. And
not at all, not ever. And during the mid-1980s, that hatred only grew with each important game, whether regular season or playoffs. Fight? These weren't fights. They were flat-out brawls. Many planned long before the puck ever dropped. And the Romans, who came to the Coliseum to watch, ate it up.
I think that, the fans created this rivalry. I mean, when Chicago came here to the Met Center, it was deafening. I mean,
now, some 30-plus years later.
Well, I think in between all the brawls, there was some damn good hockey
very
played.
Good hockey.
Some very entertaining hockey and very intense moments. And
Former North Stars Brad Maxwell, Brian Bellows, Steve Payne, Gordy Roberts, Reed Larson, and Don Beaupre.
But you circle those games on the schedule and
look back and remember. And it's still crystal clear to them which 2 players started it all.
the 2 antagonists, the ones that the catalyst, the whole thing, Al Secord for the Blackhawks, and of course our favorite Dino Ciccarelli.
And he continued to push me away. He slashed me. I pushed back. He turned around and gave me a 2-hander right across the ribs. But, it's unfortunate. He only gets a 5-minute penalty.
Secord was a talented, tough guy. Ciccarelli, a sharpshooting, fearless, pain in the opponent's rear end. They were each team's emotional leader, and they hated each other.
Dino was tough. I mean, you talk about not so much fighting, but he would do anything for a goal. I remember playing against him. Whatever it took, he'd mouthing off or antagonizing. I mean, some guys, they don't want to go near the net. They're going to get hit or chopped. Yep. Dino, he was fearless when it come to playing the game. And
pay the price.
Pay the price for a goal.
Every player at the table at one time or another had a run-in with a Hawk.
As I was a rookie, I go around Ben Wilson and I score. And he comes right up to me and he says, "You do that again, I'm going to break your stick over your arm." And Wally Harris was the ref. And I just look at him, and so 3rd period I go around, go to shoot, breaks his stick right over my arm. I turn to Wally. I said, "Aren't you going to call anything?" He goes, "What do you mean? How dumb are you? He told you he was going to do it."
There was a stretch in the 80s. I want to say there was a 4-year stretch where you guys played each other in playoffs every year.
I think the reason we had such a good rivalry with them back in the 80s is because we were so evenly matched.
Nothing better than a Sunday night in Chicago Stadium after a Bears game when all the fans are probably lit up a little bit. And, back then there was always a lot of, right from warm-up and so on. But, just a lot of great memories, great energy. And, they came here, the fans were just as loud. And, the fans were a big part of it.
Brad, are you surprised that there's so much interest in this alumni game?
I don't think so. I think that, people look at it and they say, for me, you're always going to see Wild in Chicago for years and years to come and stuff. But this may be the only time that you get to see an alumni game, and of this kind of stature.
In our mind's eye, these former North Stars, well, they're in their 20s. They're in their prime. They're flying up and down the ice at the old Met Center. But the reality is, the only thing that's flown lately is time.
We're all pushing past 55 now, and, we would have loved to have done this about 10, 12 years ago. And
For me, I'm so excited I'm actually strapping the pads back on, so that's so.
This is when I knew something was serious, because he hasn't stopped a puck in 20 years. He doesn't want to.
Nobody wants to embarrass himself. I think we're all trying a little harder than we really should.
I just hope there's not a headwind, because I'm slow enough, as Gordy said. If I got to skate into the wind, I'll be going backwards.
Yes, the legs may not be there anymore, but the competitive spirit certainly is. And honestly, so is the bond they all share, being a North Star.
We would do anything for each other. Timmy Young, Jack Carlson, we have a bond and stuff like that. But if anything happened to any one of these guys, we'd have, we got 40, 50 guys local here that would be there in a heartbeat. And that's just the way, we were raised and the way that we played the game.
Yeah, it's a brotherhood, and you're always connected for life.